Guys, Uncle Chael has a new favorite pillow. I didn't realize how bad my old pillow was until I got my new pillow from Marlow Pillow. Upgrading your pillow may be the easiest, least expensive way to improve your life. Marlow launched last year by the founders of Brooklinen, the internet's best sheets, which are on my bed right now as well. After 7 years of sleep research, they knew exactly what needed to be done. You have an adjustable zipper, so you can choose a firmer pillow, or you can unzip for added plushness. You decide what's best for you. Here's a deal for you. Buy 2 pillows, save 25%. Buy 4 pillows, save 40%. Still on the fence? Marlow offers a 365-day free return policy, plus there's a 2-year warranty. It's a risk-free way to get yourself a better night's sleep. So click the link below and check out Marlow right now. All right, Charles Oliveira in the scale, right? This is not the hill that I want to die on. I am not an advocate. I am not advocating now. But this story, in my mind, is more interesting today than it was the day that it happened. Let me just lay out a timeline and allow me to insert myself. But on Thursday of last week, I sat down to you guys and I told you Charles isn't going to make weight tomorrow. I fully admit to you, I just threw a dart at the board and I happened to get it right. But I'm also the only one that did this publicly. Stay with me. As the weigh-ins are happening, Ariel Helwani is doing a show called The Weigh-In Show. And he's got another aficionado within the space on the show with him. 5 seconds after Charles misses weight, they declare that Charles has been stripped. I call into the show and I correct that. And I said that is not true. There is no statute and there is no bylaw produced by anybody. You are operating under hearsay, and moreover, it's wrong. Charles is still the champion. And it doesn't matter if that was 5 seconds after he missed weight, 5 minutes after he missed weight, or 5 hours after he missed weight. I was still right. We're splitting hairs. The way the rule was written is when the bell rings for the contest between Oliveira and Gaethje, that is when the belt is vacated. But it's relevant by me because I go back in this sport to the night that Kevin Randleman was a main event, showed up to the arena, the pay-per-view's live, the tickets are sold, the popcorn is popped, it gets time for the main event. Randleman doesn't walk through the curtain. He was in the back, he was warming up, he slipped and he hit his head. It matters because if the only way you're going to strip Oliveira for missing weight is with the start of a contest, which you don't know is going to happen. So according to the rules, which apparently we're sticking fiercely to, had Oliveira not walked out there against Gaethje, had he done what happened previously on the card between Cowboy and Lazon, if that exact same thing happened, Charles Oliveira is still the champion right this second. Are you with me? Now, I could go either way with this. And the only reason I told you that brief story and that brief timeline is I am the one that came out and defended Charles. I am the one that came out and spoke over the voices who turned out to be wrong and I turned out to be right, and said he is still the champion, he has not been stripped. I am the one and only voice to this day that has asked for a copy of the statute and or bylaw that states he should be stripped. Now, I never got there, but Rose Gracie did go look into the rules, and she provided a clause in writing that invalidated, in some people's minds, the weigh-in. Now, what I'm here to tell you is I can go either way. I'm going to go the way of whichever is least popular, purely for the fact of creating a conversation. So even though I was on the side of Charles, I could go the other way. It's called a debate. Let's listen to it. If I am representing Charles, okay, and you got to understand it, you got to make sure really clear that you get this. No contract in the world gets to be cited unilaterally if the opposing side resists. You then have to go to a next step, whether that's a commission, an arbitration, or even you appeal and ultimately you get before a judge. Nobody gets to look at it and say, okay, something here says that you get stripped if you don't make weight, and we see that he didn't make weight, and therefore he's stripped. He could push back, and he didn't. But it would have been interesting if he had. Because I would have said, Charles missed weight, who says? And all of your hands would have gone up. I saw it. It was on TV. I saw Charles miss weight. Did you? Because I'll subpoena you, did you? Now, I'll subpoena you and it'll fall on deaf ears because it would be called hearsay, but none of you saw Charles miss weight. Not one of you saw what that scale said. There's only one person that I could subpoena that would have to come in who is the operator of the scale, and I'm going to demand, under court order, that he submit to a dilated eye exam by an optometrist. Before you think that's silly, and I'm going to get a judge to throw that out, you need to know every fighter licensed on the card, including Charles himself, had to submit a dilated eye exam by an optometrist. So in light of that, the judge is going to give me that my way. Now, if he goes ahead and passes it, under oath, I'm going to bring an optometrist, and I'm going to make sure he has 20/20 vision, of which, if he doesn't, I'm going to have it thrown out, and Charles is going to have his belt back. If the sumbitch passes both of those tests, I'm going to demand to see a certification of where he was trained to weigh people in. None of you know what Charles weighed. None of you. None of you saw the scale. Everybody bought the fact that it was 155.5. We don't have a photo of that. We don't have a close-up. We don't have verification. We have a gentleman speaking in one language to a gentleman in a different language, telling him that he missed weight and therefore he's going to be stripped. It's interesting. Whether you find it interesting or not, had this been tested, it would have been. Now, if I was debating, and I was the prosecution, and I had to go against Charles. Charles has only said one thing, which is I was on weight. I checked on the UFC scale. The night before, I was 155 pounds. I swear on my daughter, the most sacred thing in my life, and I am quoting here, I did not put anything into my body. I showed up and I was half a pound over, that scale is off. If those things are true, of which would be circumstantial at absolute best, I would confront Charles with, if you were on weight at 9 a.m., suffering, dying, and hadn't put anything in your body, why did you wait 1 hour and 53 minutes to walk through the curtain and get on the scale the first time? That's going to be a problem. Even circumstantially, that is going to be a problem. Everybody else that was hurting, everybody else that was on weight the night before, everybody else that was uncomfortable got up and got on the scale as quick as they can, which was as close to 9 a.m. when the scale opened. We're going to go back and forth. But I'm largely going to be hanging my argument on the fact that I have an argument and how well does this want to be tested, and it is greatly relevant. All of the money of my fighter's purse is going to be tied to this. Now, I don't know who manages Charles, and I do not want to give that person a hard time. If that person has got him to a main event status, participation, a world champion, that person's done a really good job. I can tell you without looking, it's not Ali. In a million years, Ali would not have let one of his guys fly in from a different country and not have a scale. How do you think the UFC scale gets there, by the way? This big, mysterious UFC scale we keep hearing about. Do you think that that's owed to a fight? Do you think that scale has to be there? First off, it doesn't, but how do you think it gets there? It doesn't teleport. It's checked at an airport. It's thrown on a 747. It's dumped on a baggage. Like anything you can do to decalibrate a scale happens to that scale. It's drug into some arbitrary room, of which if they lose access to, they drag the sumbitch to another room where anybody can come and go and get on it. There is nothing in the world of scale calibration that you know as a reasonable person that scale goes through, and that you would deduce that it was still calibrated. So it's a very interesting point as to what happens next. Now, the one and only piece of written language that we've ever received, nobody's backed up and verified if this is true, but in all fairness, as I talked to you today, I have no reason to challenge it. I don't know who wrote this. And moreover, I don't know who read it, however many things they had to read in that day that this slipped past them. But it states, if the champion who is stripped wins the fight, that champion must have his next fight for the now vacated championship. It has the word must. You can't enforce anything with the word must. What if Charles never wants to return to the weight class? What if he retires from the sport? What if, like everybody else, he doesn't like who the opponent is and doesn't agree? Not what it says. It says he must. Jon Jones was the champion of the world and left the thing behind. George St. Pierre was the champion of the world and walked behind. I can go back to the day that Jens Pulver was the champion, left the thing behind. Right now, in real time, our heavyweight champion appears that he's never going to come back and defend it. There is absolutely no power. There is to Charles because somebody allowed language that said must. Listen to what Charles did today. Today, Charles came out and said Islam must fight and beat Benny Dariush to have a shot at the championship. Now, we've heard 100 champions say that before. The champion should always look at his fiercest competition and find some kind of a roadblock if he can. Right? The best general never fires his shot. Get the son of a bitch beaten by somebody else. Let me repeat what Charles said today. Islam Makhachev must beat Benny Dariush to get a title shot. Charles doesn't have a championship. He's speaking as though he's going to be giving an opportunity to somebody, as though he's going to put his belt on the line. He doesn't have the championship. No, excuse me. He has something better. He has a verbiage clause that says he must be part of the match. Charles Oliveira has more power right now than he did 3 days ago when he held the belt. When he held the belt, there was nothing specifying what's going to happen in the future. Nothing stopping an interim championship. Nothing stopping an undisputed championship. There was nothing other than the policies within the sport that would lead you to believe that he's going to be offered a match and then we kind of go from there. He's now subject to a clause that somehow got written, is allegedly the correct part, that says he must be part of it. So now he's denying who he's going to be facing. It is the wildest situation. When I first saw it, I had a second glance. Oh, well, you know, Charles is trying to keep the belt and avoid Islam. And boy, that sure would be a good match. And I really don't know who's going to win. I go, wait a minute. Charles ain't he's not putting a belt up. You'd think we could just get on with it. You don't want to play ball. You don't want to do this. Hey, absolutely no problem. We all get this fight, Benny and Islam, instead of in the interim championship like some people talked about with the undisputed belt. Well, no, apparently we can't because there's a clause that somehow got written down and adopted that says Charles must be part. So now he can start turning people the way he wants. It's a wildly fascinating concept. And I will tell you, he is much better off in the vein of picking and steering who his next opponent. He is much better off with this weird clause that we're going to fall to that says they must give him the opportunity than he is if he was the champion. You ever think about that, guys? Is this setting in what I'm telling you? According to the verbiage, Charles will be and must fight for the belt. Who is his opponent going to be? It's the only thing that we don't know. And if I was to predict for you, it's going to be Islam. I've seen a number of guys try to bat somebody away. You sit him down, you talk to him. Crowd speaks up. Guy goes on with business. And that's a very interesting match. That was not an interesting match, by the way, 5 days ago. Islam versus Oliveira. I tell you right now, if that fight was booked, I can tell you Islam would be the favorite. It got a lot more interesting. We didn't quite know how good Charles was. But it's very few times you're going to meet anybody in life that has power and doesn't wield it. If you want to know where Charles' newfound power came from, go read the clause that got adopted that says they must include him in the title fight.